Call the meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is a special council meeting for the budget hearing. Start with a roll call.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader,
Here.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen. Here.
Next, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Pursuant to the agenda, I'll now convene a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. In terms of the budget, I want to just take a minute and talk about how the process works. We work on this for starting in January of every year, and in January, we get the information from the current fiscal year that's going on at that time, and then we look at where we stand in terms of are we within lines of the last year's budget, what news coming up. We look into people companies that have asked for compensation or money from us, like the Chamber of Commerce and other people where we have dues and things like that. They give us money. They give us information in terms of what they're asking for money. And then each of the department heads then prepares their own individual budget. And it's all itemized and everything. And at the end of that time period, they submit that to the city manager, Matt Schmitz, and Susie. And what they do at that point is they review it, and then Matt and Susie meet individually with each department head, and they go over the budget and they determine what items are maybe on their wish list, but we can't afford to do them, so they're taken off. And then at the end of that time period, it comes back to council. So at this time, this is the fourth time that council will have seen this since January in terms of the budget. And this year, from what the department heads originally submitted, we cut $1.2 million off of what they had projected, what they needed to run their departments. We then the state of Iowa has particular forms that are required of us. So it's a summary form, and that's what you saw in the newspaper if you looked or if you saw otherwise. But the actual itemized budget is what we use in order to get that number on the statement itself. So that's the little layout of it. And then I guess we'll start with, is Melissa first?
Yeah.
Melissa Appleby.
I don't have my notes in order, so if I screw it up, that's it. All right. Okay, so I've been looking into the cost of the living in the city of Independence from the electric bill, and it looks like it's the lowest compared to all of the surrounding towns, and that's according to an independent study. Looking at the garbage, it was high, but the city's already working on that. You guys are looking at rebidding, so it's problem solved. So I keep digging, and I found that, sorry, I left some things at home. Okay. And I don't have what I want. But I do know it off the top of my head, so let's just go for it. So there's $44,000 being used to do a rental right now for the city hall's copy machine. I'd like you guys to purchase a copy machine and then utilize that leftover money to do upgrades that are needed at City Hall. There's also $14,000 being given to the 4th of July committee each year, or projected for this year, but they should be self-funded at this point. They make a lot of money off of vendors and events that come in for that, and they should be able to propel that money and go forward from there. So why we're giving them $14,000 when they should have enough money to fund themselves? I don't know. But we take those $14,000 and save it. Then you got $4,000 going towards the flowers on Main Street. These are only seasonal, they're temporary. They take a lot of upkeep because somebody has to go along and water them, and that costs a lot of money for our city. In fact, $4,000 worth. So you take that $14,000 that you're gonna not give to the 4th of July, and then another $4,000, almost $5,000, and take that money from the flowers and use it to something that's gonna be more long-lasting, something like river improvement. I mean, a lot of people use the river. It has to be utilized because it's from the hotel motel fund, so it has to be used in that order, but I don't see why a river activity couldn't be used to that. So I was looking at other cuts, and, you think, oh, well, we got a lot of police officers, right? Well, apparently we don't, because defund the police says we have the exact amount of police officers that we need. So if defund the police is telling me that it's A-okay, it's probably A-okay. So we look at how much are they getting paid? Maybe they're getting overly paid. So I looked at it, and the fire chief is at the 25th percentile for his position and where he's at. I looked at our police chief, captain, lieutenant, and they make around the same thing, 25% of their salary. But then when I looked at the library, they're at the 75th percentile and higher. Yep, that's right. We save the money on our police heroes and cops and fire that save us, and then we overly spend on our librarian. So this is the cost. I kind of broke it down because I looked at a few things. Where could they cut? Can they cut the fact that their building costs more to heat, like a gym costs more to heat, or their building is old, stuff like that. So I eliminated that. I just looked at the cost of our operations, like their pay, staffing, and the benefits that go with having a staff member. Recreation has got 3 staff members. There's Bob, Angie, and Trenton. So then again, I had to break that down. So I gave Bob the Falcon Civic Center. It's kind of his hub, and it runs open year-round. And then I put Angie and Trenton and divided them too, because one kind of runs River's Edge and the rec complex for Trenton, and then Angie for the pool and activities. So if you see them, I took their pay and their benefits, and I divided that up, and then I just put them down beside Trenton, and that's the benefits for him. Okay? So that's how I came up with this chart. It's not just colorful interest. So I wanted to point out some things. If you eliminated the flowers on Main Street, but ended up adding up all the city parks, the Falcon Civic Center, the River's Edge, the city pool, recreation, and for all adults and kids, the rec complex, the RV park, mowing and cemetery, and the dog park. That cost is at $429,020, but the library is $491,332. Okay, now think about that. That's 9-to-1 ratio. And now that might not seem like something to you, but because you might use the library, you might live, eat, and breathe at that library. But somebody else might not ever even step 1 foot in that library, and they might not even utilize it. They may never, but maybe they'll use 9 others. That 9-to-1 ratio can't be ignored. I mean, it can't. Okay, so then I went, okay, well let's compare, right? But let's put apples to apples, because they're not a library. Okay, well, I looked into the library. I went to the, I would like to, State of Library of Iowa, and got the records from there. Okay, and we are in the high percentile. And I got a hold of also the city, somebody on city council up in Owine, and then looked at their numbers. And their numbers don't even compare to our numbers. We're almost 200 and some thousand over what they are. But they're directly comparable to our town. They are almost identical in population, minus like 400 or something. They're 15 minutes away, so you can say, well, staffing costs. It costs more to run you. No, it doesn't, because the wages are the same here as they're gonna be there. So they're directly comparable. And lo and behold, that amount of money is right in line with that 25th percentile that everybody else in the budget is living with. Because believe it or not, people complain about the city budget and all the money and all the waste and da-da-da. I've looked, I tried. I found 2 things, copier And the flowers, I don't like, waste. They're not permanent, they don't last, it's not worth it. But nothing else compared, nothing. This is where the waste is. Because the librarian is making 75 percentile while our cops and our police aren't. It doesn't add up. We're on a shoestring budget. You guys are doing good. Budget's at 25%. We run this Parks Department, the Civic Center, all these activities for the community. It's insanity. Like, that's crazy to do that on that 25%, because I wouldn't say anybody in this town is saying we lack in activities for the community. But to waste 75 percentile on one thing and make everybody else live at the 25 percentile just doesn't make sense to me. And I hope it doesn't make sense to you. So if you look at that, let's see. Okay, so let's look over this. So I didn't get all my notes together, but the library isn't open but 50 hours a week. And the fire department is open 24/7. Similar. Okay, so if you look at them, I put them right beside each other. They got 3 full-time staff, they've got 3 part-time staff, janitor, and volunteers. Similar, okay? So if you look at them, they're similar. But they're working 50 hours a week, and they're working 24/7. So why is that? Well, I looked at it, I'm like, well, can they do this? Oh yeah, they can do this. They could have one librarian work 40 hours a week, coming in from 10 to 5, and have 5 hours left over. She works every single day from 10 to 5, and then has 2 part-time employees, one that would be hired from 5 to 8, and we'll pay him $30 an hour, because they're gonna have to only work part-time, and they'd be 5 to 8. Nobody wants to do that, right? Monday through Thursday. But for 30 an hour, they would. Or pay them $30 an hour to come on Saturday and Sunday. That's good money. Somebody will take that. They can cover it, right? They can do it. It'd be somewhere around $157,000 to run that with one librarian and 2 part-time staffs at $30 an hour. 50 hours a week. That's what you got to cover. The Civic Center and the Rec Center and all the other departments are doing these things. But they're not. They're just going hog wild, both in pay and in overstaffing, obviously. So don't forget the recreation 9-to-1 ratio, cost equal 9-to-1, doesn't make sense. We got their positions getting paid at 75 percentile, while you keep everything else in the entire city budget at 25%. Keep it in check. It's $236,248 more to operate per year, estimated, than our neighboring identical city in Ohio. $236,000? How? That's crazy numbers. That's crazy waste. And it's crazy amount of money that you can cut. It's clear it needs to be cut. Now, if they have a challenge that needs to be given, they can utilize people that know how to help in the city, that look at those kind of 25 percentile budget strings and how to accomplish that. Better utilization of their volunteers. And when you say, well, can it be done? We cannot do that. No, you can. Some cities don't even have libraries. It can be done. And in fact, in our exact zone, based on the library knowledge, looking at the size, community, state of Iowa, this is what they say. 25% at would be for our exact zone, based on the library telling you that, is $359,750. So I think that's where you need. So 359,750, according to the State of Library of Iowa. I think you need to minus the $42,500 because it's the taxpayers' money already going to them from the county. That's why I deducted it. It's income and the figures. So the city should give them $317,250. When can they cut the budget? Well, some of the programs, where could they cut the budget? Well, they're paying $18,000 for a janitor, and one of the ways that you can do that is obviously in their spare time, the janitors or the librarian slow, she can go clean the restrooms at the library. They do programs that They go to read to toddlers and preschools. They can either get volunteers to do this or leave it to the teachers to read books. They can cut on giving adults, they have an adult book program where they give you a free book. And in order to encourage adult reading, they can cut them. They just need to look at cutting. They need to figure it out. She's smart. She can do it. She needs help. She needs to get help from the city. She can ask. But that budget is completely doable, and it stays in line with that commitment to stay on a low budget, 25%. That's what you guys have done, all across the board. Get them in line. That's all I'm asking.
Are you almost done?
Yeah.
We're
That-
almost out of time, that's all.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron or Sue, or Sue Dunn? Doan, sorry.
That's okay. Hi, my name's Sue Doan, my husband Aaron. We've both lived here our whole life. And we just, first of all, I'd like to thank you for trimming the budget in the areas that you have looked at and done. That's appreciated. But I just feel like Iowans are struggling terribly with inflation, and I know the city is looking at that as well. And it's difficult. But I just feel like one of the areas is the increase in property tax that has us quite concerned. And we have to make difficult decisions with our budget, and as you guys do as well. And we feel like, you're held responsible to keep that in check for us. Some of the things I'm going to quote from is the Iowans for Tax Relief. And I wanted to say that the explosive growth of the property tax far outpaces population growth and inflation. The root cause of rising taxes isn't increasing values, it's excessive government spending. Local governments expanded their budgets without considering the taxpayers' ability to pay. This creates a great disconnect. Temporary fixes like exemptions and one-time infusions of surplus funds does not solve the property tax issue. High property taxes discourage investment, suppress economic growth, and impose a recurring financial burden on property owners. The city, county, and school budgets are growing beyond the taxpayers' ability to pay. They have grown faster than the state's population and inflation together. And again, the local government chooses to spend, determines our tax bill, not the assessments of the taxable values.
Right, but as your taxable values go up, your taxes also go up. So, yeah, it's a kind of a double-edged sword. And property values seem to have gone up between 12 to 20% a year for the last few years. So our taxes here have probably gone up, they've probably gone up 4 times in 20 years since we've had our house. I mean, they've doubled 4 times. So, and Missouri, my uncle lives in Lee Summit, Missouri. He's got a pretty fancy house. His property taxes now that he's 65 are capped. They don't raise their taxes on people, period, after they're 65 years old. Property taxes anyway, and what they pay in. And maybe if we had like a 2% is all they could raise your taxes every year. I mean, I know Florida does that, and I think there's some other states that have a cap. If you're a resident of that state, I mean, if you're not a resident, then the sky's the limit. They can raise it whatever they want to do. Anyway, something like that would probably help and make people feel a little better about property tax increases, stuff that's going on. Something to think about.
And there's a lot of people that are struggling a lot more than we are, and I just really feel for them trying to make it, and it just I just appreciate you looking at this again. And, I mean, everybody has to have a budget, and we all have to trim, so.
Our population hasn't really increased in 20 years, but the taxes have gone up quite a bit, proportionally, so. That's all I got to
Okay,
say.
thanks for your time.
Thanks for your
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that didn't sign in that wants to come up and say something? No? Okay, hearing nothing further, I need a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll now close the public hearing, and the city clerk shall note the comments for the record. And then I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. We now stand adjourned from the